What is going on, everyone? What's going on? How's it going? What's going on, Rover Kane, Mr. Rover Kane, Super TA? What's happening? What's happening, partner? What's going on? Let me know if y'all can hear me loud and clear. Let me know. Let me know in the chat. So we got a couple people joining in. Um, so yeah, just let me know if y'all can hear me loud and clear, just to make sure. It's having a little technical difficulty getting everything up and going on the stream. So yeah, just let me know. DMC and me, what's going on? What's happening, partner? Um, but yeah, for the most part, man, this live is gonna be loud and clear. All right, cool, appreciate that. Um, for the most part, this is gonna be a check-in. Let me know in the chat. Let me know how things are going for y'all. Let me know if y'all got any questions. Go ahead and drop those into the chat, and we'll make our way through some questions. For the most part, just kind of wanna tap in and just it's hot. It's hot. It is hot for sure. Um, so man, I'm just cooling out. Needed to get some applications and stuff out today, but early this morning was as early as I could have got it done, and that didn't happen. So, with that being said, we just gonna have to cool out and wait until we get some cooler temperatures. So, yeah, man, let me know if y'all got any questions or anything, and then too, let me know how y'all season's going. You still green? You're still partially green. You're going dormant. Uh, what's the status? What's the status of your lawns right now? This won't be a formatted live like I normally do. So I just wanted to kind of check in with everybody, do a live here, and just check in and kick back. That's really, this could have been called a kickback because that's really is really what it is. I am gonna address some questions and things that frequently asked questions that I've been getting here recently. So I'll probably address some of those. What's going on, transition zone guy? Um, yeah, man. It seems like you've been tapping into some of the content. I appreciate you, um, and also everybody that's been tapping into the content. Channel is continuing to grow. We got new subscribers and stuff coming in. If you are new to the channel, please go back and check out some of my previous videos and stuff. If you do have certain questions that you may have currently, just scroll back through the channel. I've got a catalog of videos that I may not come out with a recent video on a topic. But I may already have a video out there that's on my channel that can answer those questions. So appreciate y'all new subscribers. Appreciate y'all OGs that's been around, hanging around with me we're probably 4 years in now, 3 or 4 years in. So appreciate y'all that have been here. And like I said, man, I kind of do it for the community, man. It's good. It's good, man. I think there's a lot of good here in the community. Just trying to help people out, man. You got a lawn. I mean, it might be your first time having a lawn, and you just don't know where to start, or you might be a seasoned vet and you just looking for some information to give you that extra edge, or to address that certain issue that you may be facing. So, yeah, man, I'm gonna continue to make the content. And it's a little slower in content this year, but as you can see, I'm picking it up. I'm finding my footing a little bit. Finding my footing a little bit. The little man is settling in somewhat into the rhythm of things. So yeah, man, as y'all saw, I do have a new addition, my first addition, Camden Lee Johnson. So yeah, just he's been keeping me pretty busy, the wife and I. So But yeah, man, he's doing well. So now I'm kind of finding my footing in how I can get back to producing the content and getting the information and stuff out there. So yeah, I appreciate y'all for sticking by. Um, content's coming. Content's coming. I actually came up with like 4 video ideas last night that I think are pretty good and pretty timely that I'm gonna be working on and trying to get out. I just happen to be in one of mine. I think I was actually rocking Camden to sleep. I just got done feeding him, and I was like, you know what? If I did these videos right here, and what if I did this one right here? So sometimes that's when the ideas come. So I went on and wrote those down because they were really good. So again, I'll be recording some content and getting those out there. So I think they are pretty good. Um, Looking at that, Richard Rodriguez, brown spots killing my lawn in Southern Cal, turf type tall fescue. Yeah, I'm actually dealing with a little bit of disease pressure myself. I'm not gonna lie. I do have some disease pressure, and that's actually one of those videos that I was talking about. Um, Kind of how I walk through the process of identifying what I'm dealing with and how to address it. Just kind of walking you through my thought process and how I'm able to do that and the things that I look for, and then how I go about addressing those issues. So I think I posted a picture sometime last week after the heat wave. I think it might have been Monday. And I was showing y'all where I was starting to see a little bit of disease pressure after I cut the lawn down from it being a little bit taller. It exposes things. I'm telling you, man. One thing that I can say about this lower height of cut, as you know, in the backyard, I've got mostly tall fescue with a little bit of Kentucky bluegrass mixed in, which is the 365 SS from Mountain View Seed. Um, but one thing now at this lower height of cut, it it does not hide your blemishes at all. Man, when you're dealing with 3 inch, even when I was at 3 inches, um, you just get this. You get a factor of being able to hide some blemishes with your height of cut. When you're at an inch, inch and a quarter, and like sub those heights, there's no hiding blemishes. Like there's no hiding it. Like if it's there, you'll be able to see it. Which kind of ups the stakes of like your management skills that you gotta have to kind of get it there, because like I mean, talking an inch of grass. I mean, like what's there is what's there. That's all you got. You don't have anything to hide imperfections or anything like that. So that's one of the things that I am noticing with this lower height of cut. And y'all know me, I strive for perfection. I want it to be as best as I can. So I see a lot of the imperfections now. It's like, so it becomes a little more challenging for me, like looking at the lawn to be like, dang, yeah, it's really on point, because I can see all of these little bitty things now. Especially like the squirrels, man, they are killing me. Like they're just digging up like all over the place. But the good thing is like those areas actually are filling back in and covering up like fairly quickly right now, to the point that I really can't see them anymore. After a week or so, like they'll fill in to the point, at least like the canopy will grow in and close back up to the point that you won't really be able to see it, as long as it's not like a bad divot in there. If it's half dollar size or golf ball size little divot or something that they dug into it, normally within a week or so, like it's filled back in and covered up. The only difference is it still leaves that imperfection as far as in your soil level. Like, so my lawn's getting, it's not as smooth as what it was when I first finished sand leveling it, because like I've got so many holes that have been dug into it from the squirrels and everything. So it's getting like those slight little bumps and stuff back in it again. It felt real good. Like those first couple of times when I mowed after I sand leveled earlier this spring, it just felt like it was rolling on butter. I mean, just rolling smooth, and it's still fair. It's still smoother than what it was, but it's not as smooth now that the squirrels are doing what they do. So I don't know. I I'm just letting it ride out, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, again, lower height of cut shows all those imperfections, like if you're seeing brown spots and disease pressure. Just kind of just try to identify what the disease is that you're dealing with. Identification is key. Richard, go ahead and try to identify that. Make sure you're watering properly, and sometimes you just got to ride it out to the fall. And it's interesting to say this, but we're probably 8 weeks away from like fall renovation time. Well, fall repair, overseeding, depending on when you tend to do it, um, is really not that far away. Not trying to wish the summer away or anything, but um, the 2025 season is not really that far away. And the way that I look at the seasons is once you get into the fall and you do your repair or your overseeds, that's the start of your next season. It's not calendar to calendar. To me, that is the start of your 2025 season because that's when you have the opportunity to turn the tide, whether that's either with a full renovation in the fall, or if that's with a overseeding. So the way that I look at it, that this coming up fall is the start of your 2025 season. So and speaking of that, if you are warm season, not sure if I got any warm season people in here, but I did release a video that was talking about warm season renovations on Bermuda grass doing sprigs. So I've got two videos out on in that series currently. Things to consider is the first video and kind of getting the scope of things together. The second video is the one that I dropped here recently. You can go check that one out on the channel. A Bermuda grass renovation. I used the iron cutter from MVP Genetics. That is under the umbrella also with Mountain View Seed. And I use that for sprigs in my pops lawn down in North Carolina. So I'm actually working on the video for the actual sprigging portion of that process, and then we'll start walking through some of the things that I set up for the irrigation, because water is key. Just like seeding with sprigging, water is your crutch. Like water will make or break you. And just like in any other renovation, you've got to have water. So with that, yeah, if you're warm season, go check those out. I'll probably have the next portion of that series probably out next week. That'll probably be the video that I'll drop just to go ahead and close that series up for those that are out there doing those warm season renovations. Now is the time to do it. I hate that y'all got to do it in the hottest part of the year, but one thing I can say, I've been there and I've done it. I've done it with you. So yeah, I think we sprigged my dad's lawn like the third week of June. So that was when we did his down in North Carolina. I know some people that are planning to drop sprigs in like around the 4th of July, that first or second week in July. I saw Pete over at GCI Turf. He's working some Bermuda renovations on some sports fields, and he's looking to do some sprigging here coming up soon. So for all y'all warm season people, you want to improve your lawn, you want to get it better. Now is the time to do it right now for those warm season lawns. We might be struggling in cool season land, but right now is the time for you to be getting those warm season lawns up and going, doing your renovations, doing your sand leveling work, and all of that to get those lawns together, which is the difference between warm season, cool season. Right now, We just trying to hold on. Us cool season people, man, from now till September, we just trying to hold on and keep what amount of green we have right now. We're trying to hold on to all of that. So we still got some rough patches ahead of us. So let me get to some of these questions. My backyard. Mr. Rover came in just now going dormant, not irrigated. St. Augustine. Yeah, you got that St. Augustine down there in Texas. Um, yeah, man. I haven't dealt with St. Augustine much. Don't really know a whole lot. Richard, thanks for joining, man. You say you're new here. Mr. Rovercan, yeah, I haven't actually had to work with St. Augustine at all. Um, I know a little bit about it just out of some reading and some studies and stuff like that, but don't know a whole lot of firsthand experience with the St. Augustine, other than some general warm season type practices. But man, I hope y'all get some water down there. If you said you're just now starting to go dormant, um, we need water. We need water in the Maryland area, across the nation, really. But we're dry here also. Like it's tough out there. I mean, lawns that are not irrigated, they're toast. They're dormant. Is what's happening. Like they're going dormant. And even if you're irrigated right now, if you're getting full sun, it's it's just a struggle right now without any help from rain. You can irrigate, you can irrigate, you can irrigate. It'll keep it alive. It'll keep it green. It'll keep it green. But when that rain falls from the sky and the man upstairs sends down that rain, it's like everything responds and falls in line, and it's nutrients, and it is everything that the lawns need when we get that rain. And we haven't had sufficient rain here in almost a month and a half. We're probably 6 weeks without sufficient rain. We got a quarter inch um, the other day, and as dry as we are, quarter inch does nothing at this point. Quarter inch does nothing. Um, but yeah, let me go check some more DMCME. So you got a question there. Yeah, so I can actually do this. Boom. All right, so this should help. Let me line this up a little bit better. All right, is year one of a renovation always a struggle? Uh, Not always, but most of the time. Um, if you think about it, it's an infant. Like it's an infant. I don't want to compare. Like say your lawn is is equal to a baby, but um, that's the way that I like to explain it. It's an infant. Like if you think about it, if you did a renovation in the fall time frame, September, October of last year, um, right now that grass is less than a year old, and it's really only a couple months old. um and it's his first time seeing these harsh conditions. We have cool season lawns. It is anything above 80, 85 degrees, it doesn't really like it. Like it starts to struggle. So when we're getting those consistent days of 90s, mid 90s, upper 90s, like for an infant, you wouldn't want your infant child, 6 month old, 8 month old, to be sitting out in the beaming sun for days and hours on end. It's kind of the same thing with the lawn. I always say it takes 2 years. It takes 2 years of consistency. It takes 2 years of growth and development. And even then, I think going into year 3 and 4 is when your lawn really starts to like harden off fully and like fully mature. And at that point, you start to get a lot less like die off and damage and stuff like that. It's just a lot more hardy at that standpoint. And it becomes survival of the fittest also. Like you said, you had some overcrowding. So it's going to be natural selection. Stuff's going to die off. And the strong is going to survive. And at that point, that's kind of how that works, which is why I tend to seed a little bit on the lighter side, because as we go through spring, if a lawn is thin in the fall, I'm okay with it as long as I have coverage. If I have coverage with a renovation going into the winter and like through the fall, and it still looks a little thin, I'm okay with that, because what that really means is when the spring comes and the spring flush and a little bit of fertilizer, and when it takes off and really starts growing and you really start mowing it, it's going to thicken up and it'll get you to a point where it won't be overcrowded if it looks thin in the fall. It'll probably get you in a place where it's going to look pretty good and give you a pretty good chance of survival for the majority of that grass. And yeah, like having disease is very susceptible to that in that first year. Very susceptible to getting disease and things like that within that first year. So you are not experiencing anything that typically doesn't happen. Like I said, it's in its infancy. It has not matured, and like lawns that really survive like the summer and like just looks good like year round and never really seems to struggle at all. Most of those lawns are at least 3, 4, 5 years old. That's when they become a lot more hardy, a lot more stable, I'll say, and they're able to endure a lot of the heat conditions, the drought conditions, and also sustain some of the fungus pressure also. So hang in there, man. I always say after a renovation, your main goal on a first year renovation is to carry as much year one grass in the year two. That's your goal. It's not for it to look the best. It's not for it to be striped up. Yeah, of course, we all want it to be all of that, but your main goal is to carry as much year one grass in the year two. And then you get to that fall and you overseed. You overseed at the proper rate. Get you some more seed in there. Then you carry more of that mature grass into the following season and you just continue to build on it, which is also why I tend to uh, seed a little bit on the lighter side and just allow me to build the lawn density up year over year after renovations. Because trying to get too dense too fast, it's a combination for a disaster. A lot of the issues that a lot of people are having right now with disease pressure is because of their seeding rate that they did last fall. They planted their own troubles for right now last fall. And I've seen it year over year, year over year. Um, I'm not a fan of seeding heavy. It'll die anyway. And then you kind of start issues that couldn't have been avoided, especially in shady areas and also in like fenced in areas like my backyard. My backyard, that's one of the reasons why Pythium hit me so hard that first year and into that second year is because of my seeding rate. I have low airflow because it's fenced in, as it doesn't dry out very much or very quickly because I've got a lot of shade cover along the back portion of it. So those are all variables that are not favorable for heavy seeding rates. So hang in there, man. You're all good. It's the nature of what we're doing right now in the lawn. Like, so you'll be all right. It'll continue to get better. Trust me. Time those fungicide applications right, and you'll be all right. Um, Henry D. Zone 9B, we're expecting next week to be 102, 103, 104. Whew, that's tough. That is tough. Hang in there is all I can tell you with that one, man. Those are rough conditions for a cool season lawn, right there. But make sure just make sure this is hydrated. Don't try to go too crazy on the watering and adding more water cycles. You want the soil moisture. You want the moisture in the soil, not on the leaf blade. So if you need to water, go for longer watering cycles and kind of get more water into the soil instead of more frequent watering cycles. Um, I tend to stick to 3 waterings a week is about my tops. And even when we were in our heat wave, I got up to 3 watering cycles, and before then I was only at 2. So I tend to 3 watering cycles a week being my top. If it needs more water, I increase the duration that I'm watering within those cycles and getting more water deeper down into the soil. So that's typically my approach when it comes to watering and fighting like heat waves and stuff. Um, yeah, hang in there. Richard, you were asking, should you cut lower because I have fungus? I'm not gonna. It depends on what. I don't know what height of cut you're at right now. I say between that 2 and 3/4, 3 inches. With Mountain View seed, I think that's the sweet spot. Anywhere between 2 and 3/4 and 3 1/4, 3.5 tops, 3.5 maybe if you're a full sun. But I think Mountain View seed cultivars tend to like to be cut a little bit lower. So I would say between that 2 and 3/4 and uh, 3 1/4 is the height of cut for an average for like the normal maintenance on a home lawn. And I will state right now, and I'm gonna say this in another video that I'm making right now. I am cutting at 1 1/4 inch right now, probably trying to get down closer to 1 inch. I do not think this is for everyone, and it is not on tall fescue, even if it's fescue KBG blend. Um, it takes some additional monitoring. I'm not going to say it takes a lot of additional work to it because I really haven't done a whole lot more or anything really different than what I've done in the past with my when I was at 3 inches. But I've had to look at it a lot more and pay attention to it and monitor it. I can't like just leave it and not think about it for a couple of days, or you'll come back and find something has crept in. And it seems to happen very quickly. So I would say for average home lawns, maintenance purposes, it looks really good. 2 and 3/4 to 3 1/4. I was at 3 inches for a number of years. So I know y'all see me doing 1 1/4 inch. It can be done. You can do it, but just know you've got to stay on top of it. And I just know most don't want to take on that extra maintenance, or not necessarily maintenance, but that extra monitoring of your lawn. So uh, depends on what height of cut you're at right now. You might have dropped it in here, but let me know what height of cut you're at right now. But that's the range. That's the range that I would say you probably should be in. And just because you have fungus, I wouldn't recommend just cutting it down lower. Just address the fungus with the right fungicide. Um, Make sure your watering is proper and you're not over watering. And that's all you can do. That's all you can do. Um, all right. Hydratane, have I used it? If so, is it worth the purchase? Um, so yes, I have used hydrotane. I actually put down hydrotane this year. So I put down hydrotane this year. Um, I would say it is first off, it is not a substitute for water. Not a substitute at all for water. You still need water. It is an aid in helping extend that water and also hold that water in the soil so that it doesn't dry out as quickly um, between waterings. So that is where I say hydrotane definitely comes in. Was it worth the purchase? It's hard to say how the lawn would have performed without it. What I will say is I've been able to keep grass green and against drought conditions and not having a lot of damage or dry out without hydrotane. I have been able to do it with hydrotane. So I've been able to do it both ways. I honestly think if you have a proper watering program and you're dialed in on your watering, you can do it without it. If you're not dialed in on your watering program, or you don't have irrigation, or you're not setting up your sprinklers and water holes and all of that stuff, you may be able to see some benefit from it, but it's not gonna sustain, or it's not gonna get you through these times that we're in right now where you're not getting any rain. There's not a product out there right now that will help you other than water from the good Lord and water from and water from an irrigation system. When we're this dry, there's not a product out there that is going to be a substitute for water. So that's my opinion on it. If you're dialed in on your water, you can do it without it. If you're not, it is a beneficial product to help you sustain where you are a little bit longer. That's my approach on it. Um, yeah, gotcha. What's going on there, Joe? I see you just jumped in here. Um, Elisa, let's see what you got. Light green and yellow in some areas. Okay. It's hard to diagnose without actually seeing what you're looking at. Uh, if it's light green slash yellow in some areas, sounds like if it's not overall, if it doesn't look like that all the way across your lawn, if it looks like that all the way across your lawn and it's just like doesn't have that good green to it, um, your lawn may be hungry. It actually may need some nutrients because right now we are post that seed head production period. And I posted a picture of my front yard and it's dry. And it also doesn't have the rich color that it typically does because I haven't fed it since we got past the seed head production phase. And that takes a lot of energy out of the plant. And it needs to be refueled with energy, refed post that whole process. If it's only in certain areas, what I would do is I would go grab some leaf blades and look really close at where the yellow kind of stops and where the good green starts, if that's the case. Look inside the yellowish areas and try to see if you're finding lesions on the leaf blade. That's going to help you determine if it's fungus or not. So lesions are typically the number one way of finding out if you've got fungus or disease in your lawn. If you're The second way of identifying if it's fungus is get up early in the morning. Not all fungus or diseases actually do this, but if it is, you'll see like a white cottony, kind of puffy mycelium is what we call it. You'll see that sitting like on top of your leaf blade. But you got to get it early in the morning, like just about as soon as the sunlight hits it, just about it kind of melts it away. But getting up early in the morning, like right at the twilight when it's coming, and going and look in those areas, if you see like a cottony type, white fuzzy look to it on the leaf blade, you've got some disease pressure there. Not spider webs, not like the stringy. It's gonna be puffy. It's gonna be kind of like a cotton like look to it. That's another indicator for disease. So this is very interesting because now is given the conditions that we're in, it's hard to tell that transition between what's disease and what's drought stress, especially when the lawn's transitioning between those two. So it right now can get tough. Looking for lesions is probably going to be your number one. Lesions in mycelium are going to be your number one way of identifying if you're dealing with fungus, or not. So I would start there and see. And a lot of times, even if you are on a fungus program, is it addressing what is currently in the lawn? Because if you may be getting into a pythium issue, most programs aren't standard set up to address pythium because it's a special case. And most fungicides out there, it takes a special fungicide to address pythium. And your azoxystrobin, your propiconazole, your group 3 and 11 fungicides do not address pythium. So hopefully you're not dealing with that, because that's a tough one to fight. But if you are, mefenoxam is your go-to for that one. So try those things out. Try to identify if you have fungus or not, and I think that'll kind of help push you in the right direction. And then from there, you can determine if you need to increase your water. All right. Joe, let's see what you got. I like my Maryland people in here. Yeah, I mean, we got our Maryland people in here, man. I appreciate y'all. Um, we got the we all in the struggle together right now because my front yard is struggling. Okay, I just dropped down here. Richard, I saw that you said you're at 3 inches. All right, cool. Given where we are, I think you said you were in Maryland too. Um, no, you're in Southern California, I believe. No, you're in Southern California, so I think you got some warm temps and stuff coming too. I think 3 inches is good, man. I wouldn't push it right now at this time in the season. I just monitor your watering, make sure you're not over watering, and then make sure you're getting your fungicides and everything down, as you need to, and you're addressing the right ones with the right product. So there are products out there that are better than others, with dealing with certain funguses. So make sure you're addressing the right ones. And I prefer liquid over granular when it comes to doing fungicides, like especially when you're dealing with fungus of the leaf tissue. I definitely prefer liquid over that. You get a way better coverage, especially if you're talking dollar spot and stuff like that. You'll definitely get better coverage and more efficacy with a liquid than you will with a granular. That's another piece there. All right, what's going on, Joe? Brown patch in June. Yep, been there with you. Um, anything else that you can do? So you've been going azoxystrobin and propiconazole. One thing that I would recommend is just combining those for one. Instead of doing the opposite, I would combine those um, and make that application. I think that's actually, is it Heritage or Headway? I think that's Headway when you actually mix. There's actually a fungicide out there that you can get both of those combined, and I think it's Headway um, that actually combines both of those. So I would combine both of those and make the application instead of trying to alternate between the two. I would also consider using Armada. Armada is another fungicide, kind of in that same family, but Armada is another one that you could use. Um, I struggle because a lot of the fungicides are within the group 3 and 11 uh, frac groups. So Armada is in that family. Azoxystrobin, propiconazole. You can, if you're dealing with what you said, brown patch. Um, T methyl is more of a dollar spot. Is more effective on dollar spot. It can give you some brown patch resistance, but it's more effective on dollar spot. Um, so yeah, those are the things I would combine those two applications and put it down. I would look into using Armada. I've had really good success with Armada. Also with Eagle, I've had good success with those, and putting those on a rotation, um, and then making sure you're watering is being that you're in Maryland, we're pretty dry right now. Make sure you're not over watering. And I've got a touch of brown patch in mine right now. And I know I haven't been over watering. I got it in the same and it's in the same area that I had it last year. Um, and yeah, I mean sometimes I'm in the same boat with you right now, to be honest with you. Uh, I know I've had them on a rotation. I did have a lapse in my fungicide coverage for about 2 to 3 weeks, and it was right around the time where it got warm, it got humid, and uh, I didn't have coverage for like the brown patch dollar. I had my mefanoxam down for Pythium, but I didn't have my fungicides down, and I just got off track. And I think I left the window open for about 2 to 3 weeks, and I think it bit me. So that's all you can do, man. Stay on top of your fungicides. Uh, Reduce the time interval, so you'll have to make the applications more often. Make sure you're gonna need to use them at the higher rate, um, and the shorter application interval. So I think when you're using those two, I think it says that it gives you up to 28 days of coverage. You'll probably need to back that down to 14 to 21 and make that application more frequently, especially with the humidity that we've got right now. It's thick, like the air is thick outside right now. It is prime disease pressure, like prime disease pressure. I was outside yesterday evening in the neighborhood and we were having a little ice cream social, and it was thick. It feels like down south thick air at night in the evening. No bueno for our cool season lawns. Disease pressure is off the charts right now. So sometimes all you can do is hang on, make the applications, make them timely, follow and label rate, and sometimes you just gotta hang on. And this time of year, you're gonna find some brown patch, dollar spot, mainly brown patch in just about every cool season lawn. How bad it gets is TBD, but just about every lawn's gonna have a touch of it from now till it cools off. Um, so the main thing now is keeping things under control so that you don't lose a lot of turf and you don't have a stand of turf that's not acceptable. Transition zone. Dormant and on life support and just trying to keep it alive. I feel you, man. I feel you. My front yard's not quite on life support, but it's a step before the ICU. It ain't quite in the ICU yet, but they got it. It's under monitoring 24 hours. I just haven't had the time in my front yard. I haven't paid that much attention to it. My attention has been on my backyard and on my son is where my attention and work. My 9 to 5 work has been crazy. It's been crazy. That's really probably where the majority of my time has been with my 9 to 5. Um, that my son and then my backyard and my front yard has just yeah. I haven't been able to stay on top of it. So it'll be all right, man. It will be okay when we get a couple of good rains. That's really what we need in the area. We need a couple good rains, and it looks like next weekend we're supposed to get good rains on. Uh, I think we're supposed to get good rains on starting Thursday. I think it's supposed to start Thursday, I believe. So we need some good rains. That's really what we need. Um, Yeah, I agree. Like those UV rays are yeah, even with irrigation, it's just hot. It's hot. But I hate to see next month's water bill. Yeah, it costs. It costs. But hey, man, you green. You green. You green. Um. I love you. All right, quick question here. All right. Any reason that I lowered my height of cut? So yes, there's a couple of reasons. Main reason being, um, I wanted a new challenge. Growing, my backyard has been performing very well for the past couple of years, and I've got that program pretty dialed in. Um, I needed a new challenge, to be honest with you. I needed a new challenge. Growing 3-inch fescue in my backyard was getting pretty routine for me, and I like a challenge, and I like to keep learning. I like to continue to add tools to my toolbox. And I felt that if I continued to stay at 3 inches, I wasn't going to learn anything new. I wasn't going to add to my skill set. So that was the number one reason for changing. The second reason is Mountain View Seed says that it can be cut down to an inch. I want to prove it. I want to be able to get it down to an inch. That's one of the statements that they've actually got on their data sheets, that their cultivars can be cut down to 1 inch with proper management practices. I want to prove it. I want to see if the statement holds true. So that was the second reason that I lowered my height of cut. Yes, you do lose some color. That's just nature of the beast when you go down to a lower height of cut. There's just less leaf blade there. My my color is not gonna look as good as what it did before. It's just not as much leaf blade there for it to give that same look. And it's not that much leaf blade there to fold over to give those dominant stripes um, either. So I mean, the stripeability definitely goes down when you've got a lower height of cut turf. The third reason was that three or was that two? I think that was three. Whatever. The next reason is because uh, I want to get some more traffic on the backyard. I've got my son now, and hopefully, here in the next few months, he's going to be walking and kicking balls and stuff around, rolling on the backyard, and all of that. And I want a surface that's going to have some good playability to it. And so I want to kind of prepared for some additional foot traffic. My backyard has a lot of shade, so the leaf blades aren't as sturdy, I would say, and they don't hold like even at 3 inches. Um, they don't hold up to foot traffic very well with the amount of shade that's in my backyard. So that's another reason for lowering my height of cut. I'm kind of preparing it for more foot traffic. And I think a lower height of cut, maybe it's not as low as what I have it now. Maybe it's something in between. To be honest with you, I'm thinking like an inch and a half, inch and 3/4 is probably going to be like more of that sweet spot to address giving me a little bit more color, a little bit more stripeability. Uh, but also giving me the benefits of some of the better playing surface, the better traffic tolerance, and things like that. So those were the reasons of why I went with a lower height of cut. Um, I don't think I'll go back to 3 inches. I'll be honest with you. I don't even like cutting my front yard anymore. That's at 3 inches. Like it's just more difficult to walk through. It's more difficult to mow through, even with a self-propelled time master. It is cutting at that lower height of cut is a lot more enjoyable, I will say, when you're walking through it. I enjoy walking through my backyard now, and doing work in it and playing in it than when it was at a higher height of cut. So, how often do I sharpen my blades? I probably sharpen my blades a way more often uh, than necessary. And the reason I would say that is because I'm cutting so low. Rotary mowing this low and with the E-Time Master probably isn't the best thing to be doing. Cutting this low, a real mower would definitely be a lot better option at this height of cut. But what I will say is I'm probably every 3 weeks I'm sharpening my blade, just because I can tell a difference when I get to a certain point with my E-Time Master right now. I don't know if you have the E-Time Master or if you have the gas powered Time Master. I think you'll be better off with the gas power Time Master because it has more power than the E Time Master. That's just my opinion. Is I think the E Time Master is amazing. It cuts well, but it is underpowered. It could use some more power, more blade speed, and it could use a little more power for the suction portion of it. Uh, but that's how often I'm probably sharpening. I know I'm sharpening way more than once a month. You should be good. Sharpen your blade once a month through the growing season. You'll be fine. I would say especially do it now that we are post seed head production and cutting all of those stalks and all of that. Pretty sure it's dulled your blade out. If you haven't done it recently, I say like since then, since we've been through the seed head production, you definitely need to sharpen it now going into the summer and into the disease pressure time because you want those sharp, clean cuts on there. Healthy cuts is what you want. All right. Flowjet. Is this a good time to put down RGS Kelp app? Kelp would be good around this time of year. RGS, sure, if you've already got it. I wouldn't say that I would go out and buy some. If you've got it, go for it. Kelp will help around this time of year. Um, Make sure you're getting that stuff watered in, and making sure you're watering properly to start with. Those are icing type products, and those are like the 1%, then or the next 2%, when you've got everything else dialed in, and you're just trying to eke out that last little bit of performance out of your lawn. That's where those products can come in. But I would say address your fertilization, your mowing, proper fertilization, proper mowing, and proper watering practices, uh, and fungicide controls at this point, before I would turn to those products to help me improve my performance at this point. Um, Address all those other issues or those other practices before trying to add those in. That's kind of where I stand on that one. Um, I'm pretty sure this is in reference to the hydrotane. I'm with you. Uh, I'm with you. It is like I said, it's no substitute for water. In reference to the hydrotane, yeah, is water is key. Water is key on that one. What's my plan on the front yard to bring it back to life? Water. That's all I'm doing to it right now is water. I up my watering, and I made a fungicide application. Um, I knew I had some disease pressure in there. I made a fungicide application. I watered it, increased some water, and pray for some rain. It's a couple rains away from turning around. And really, until it really starts like really growing back like it should, um, I'm gonna hold off on giving it a good dose of fertilizer until then. And when it really starts, when it gets back to the phase of it growing, I'll give it a good dose of fert at that point. And because right now it's still on the dry side, and until I get those plants and get it back hydrated like it should, I'm not gonna stress it with trying to force it to grow. So right now I'll leave what nutrients and stuff that are there, and then I'll inch in. Even when it comes to fertilization, I'll probably go with a couple apps pretty frequent of small doses of some liquid. Um, I don't even think I'll go granular. I'm probably gonna go liquid, either with some Simple Lawn Solutions, something from Simple Lawn Solutions, or from Ecologel. More than likely it'll be uh, that 15015 from Simple Lawn Solutions, and a couple of apps of that, and kind of get it back healthy and growing. But until it's back hydrated properly, I'm not even gonna try to push it to growth. It's gonna cause more damage. It could potentially cause more damage to the plant, stressing it out, than if I just gave it some water. Like right now, water is king. Water is king. Like products aren't gonna solve your problems right now unless your lawn is like healthy right now and you just have disease pressure. If your lawn is healthy and you're dealing with disease pressure, okay, your fungicides. That's where you need to go. But most lawns right now, what they really need is water and relief from the heat. And we can't give it relief from the heat. So proper watering is typically what most lawns really need right now. And I can look at my front lawn and see it needs water. It's behind on water right now, even though it's still fairly green. I know it's hungry, but it needs water first before I try to get it to grow with fertilizer. Um, Headway. Yeah, I thought it. Thanks, Joe. I thought it was Headway. I couldn't think it was a Heritage or Headway. I thought it was Headway. Appreciate that. Omar, appreciate the congrats. Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Um, yeah, man, little man is he's a good time. So he's actually up there napping right now, which is why I'm able to do this. Um, he'll probably be waking up here in a little bit, so y'all probably got me for another 20 minutes or so, and uh, and then it's gonna be time for me to go tap in with some with daddy duties. Tum, tum, tum. 4th of July. Oh yeah, 4th of July. Um, yeah, it's looking like a rainy 4th of July for us. That's why I said I think they were starting to rain on Thursday. Maybe it is on Wednesday. But we need rain. We need rain bad. Um, how big is your lot? And uh, yeah, so I can actually cut. So using the E Time Master, um, I've got 7,000 square feet total. I've got 7,000 square feet total. I can double cut my back, which is 4,000 square feet. I can cut all of my front yard, which is another 3,000 square feet. Um, I probably could, I think I've tried, I've almost been able to cut my lawn twice before the battery dies. If I wanted to double cut everything, I think it died probably 3/4 of the way through double cutting my front. So I started off, I cut my front, then I went to the back and I double cut the back. And then I was like, all right, you know what? This was during the spring when everything was just growing. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go double cut the front too. So I came back up front and I was probably 3/4 of the way through double cutting the front when the battery died. So I mean, you probably can cut close to 4,000, not 4,000, close to 14,000 square feet on the single charge. Little shy of 14,000 square feet. So yeah, I mean that's not a bad lick for being able to cut on a single charge there. All right. Nicole in Georgia. All right. If you've got complete dry patches, yes, you can get it to go away with watering. Um, my challenge to that, or more so, my question to that would be, if you have, if those are just like isolated dry areas, if they are because there's an obstruction or something in that area that is causing those areas to die off rather than not die off, but go dormant quicker than the other areas. I've got a couple clients, particularly this one client. Um, I know there's like rock debris under her subsurface, and the root zone in those particular areas of the lawn is just shallow because I've stuck a screwdriver in there, and all you hear about 2 inches down is nothing but rock. It's nothing but rock. It's probably debris from when they built the house and They will bury debris and stuff in the lawn, or if it was just a pile of debris there that they just moved over top of. But those areas will die out, or not die out. They'll go dormant faster than the rest of the lawn. So what I have done in the past is I've showed her that I was like, hey, you come out here and you give these areas some extra water, you can keep them going, but you're gonna have to maintain these areas a little differently than the other ones, and you're gonna have to give it that extra water. Um, so it's hard to say how much, but if it's already gone all the way dormant, it takes a good amount of water to bring it back out of dormancy. And if you don't plan on continuing to keep it up, once you get it out of dormancy, I would venture to say don't bring it out of dormancy. Let it be until we start getting good rain, and you just let the rain do what it does, and until we get cooler temperatures and stuff. Um, I would soak the if you really do want to bring them back, it's gonna take a lot of water. It's gonna take a lot of water. I don't know how to tell you how much. Um, no obstruction. I did fertilize earlier in June and watered right away. Now I have dry patches. Don't know how to address. Yeah. No obstruction. Okay, that's good. If you've got dry patches, I'm just wondering if you're dealing with more disease pressure than you are dry. If there's no obstructions or anything there, Chad, boy, I got the answer for you coming up. um, if you've got dry patch, if you've just got localized areas, I would say yes, it's going to take daily watering to bring it back out. Soak it in the morning, like in the mornings, like soak those localized areas down. Get them as much water into the soil as you can. Um, and then, because I've been doing that with some of my localized hot spots that I've got over here. I don't have any obstructions in mine either, but they're just hot spots, and I feel like it's compacted in those areas. We'll probably have to do some aeration in those areas. That's another thing that you could think about in being able to get some water penetrating down into the soil. Get your manual plugger and get a couple holes in there, get some holes in those areas, and then be able to get some water into the soil. That's another option, but daily watering in those lawn. I'm not saying water the whole lawn. Don't do that. Hit those spots of where you're seeing it, and get some water in those. Um, Before you do that, make sure you're not dealing with disease, because that's the other thing that I'm thinking you may be. Right now is tough. Like I was telling one of the other viewers earlier, it gets tough this time of year when lawns are transitioning between is it dry or is it disease? Is it dry or is it disease? I think my man Polo actually has a video in identifying the difference between. So you can go over to his channel, Polo Fields Lawn Service. I think he's got a how to tell. I think it's how to tell heat stress from disease or disease pressure or something like that. I think is the title of that video. Uh, but look for lesions on the blades before you start your watering cycle to make sure you're not dealing with disease pressure first. Because if you go adding more water to a disease issue, that's only going to make it worse. So identify that portion if you're dealing with disease. The next thing would be, uh, can you check and see if I haven't heard about army worms or anything this season. But you can check for some insect or armyworm uh, issues there. So armyworms, grub damage, things like that. You can actually kind of dig in one of those areas and see for grubs. You can check for grubs that way. You can, because those are probably they've already hatched. At this point, they're starting to transition into the actual beetle form at this point in time. Right now, so uh, those are all the options I got. Oh, the soap water test for insect things that you're looking for. You can actually get about a gallon or so, gallon or two of water. Put some dish soap in there, and then dump that in one of the areas. That's one way of checking. The quick way of checking for some insect damage in that realm. So those are my options. Check for disease pressure first, lesions on the blade. Try to identify if you're dealing with that. Second thing is uh, check for insects. Third thing is at that point, water. Try aerating and maybe just trying to get some water into the soil. If it is water and you're not getting good penetration, a wetting agent could help get some of that water down into the soil. If you're dealing with a hydrophobic type soil, uh, wetting agent could help you in that realm of getting the water to penetrate. So that's what I got. Um, yeah, Rover K, maybe irrigation isn't hitting that. Yep. And then I was like, yeah, water is checking for water. Oh, Joe, you said the same thing that I was thinking. Checking. I haven't heard about army worms or anything this year, but uh, yeah, this is about the time it starts to pop up. Also, this is funny. He was like, your clay dirt cracks on its own. It's self aerating. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Nicole. Let me scroll back up where Nicole in Georgia. Yeah. You've probably got pretty clay. You're probably dealing with a lot of clay and stuff down there too. If you're a cool season in Georgia, um, yeah, you should I don't think it's gonna be permanent. It won't be permanent. Especially when temperatures cool back down. Like right now is just a tough time. Like we're getting into what I call the fourth quarter. Like we're in the fourth quarter. Like June started it. This is like the fourth quarter of a basketball game where you gotta grind it out. Like you've gotta grind it out. Right now, you're gonna take you some bumps and bruises along the way during this period of time. But I think it'll come the fall, things cool back down. We can start fixing some issues. If you don't have any obstructions or anything in there, um, check that. Kind of do that 1, 2, 3 step, kind of that I laid out, and that gives you a couple of options. I think somebody said something about Pythium. Thoughts on Pythium prevention? I got a video on that. You can roll back through the channel, and I got a full video with a lot more detail than probably what I'm gonna go through here. But Pythium prevention, phosphites. I've been there, done that with Pythium. Introducing phosphites this time of year is a good mechanism for Pythium prevention, and also a rotation of mefanoxam. Mefanoxam is one of the fungicides that's known to be pretty good for Pythium, but it also has a high probability for it to develop resistance to it. So making sure you're using that properly is gonna be key on that one. So yeah, those are my go tos, and also making sure you're keeping the leaf blade as dry as possible for as long as possible. So that's kind of my philosophy on disease pressure as a whole. The key is keeping the leaf blade dry for as long as possible, keeping that moisture off of the leaf blade, which means watering early in the morning when you need to, like close to sunrise, and having that irrigation cycle done as the sun's rising or right at sunrise, and then it goes ahead, sun starts to dry that leaf blade off fairly quickly. No evening waterings, no midday, late evening syringing, and things of that nature. I was actually talking to a turf farm here in the Maryland area. Um, one of the farmers there, the turf managers there, and I was like, "So what do y'all do for all of these acres and acres and acres of cool season grass that y'all have got out here? How do y'all handle disease pressure?" It was like, and that was his response. He was like, "We try to keep the leaf blade as dry as possible for as long as possible." He was like, we'd rather see a little bit of drought stress, and then we can put some water on it and catch it and get to it. But we know we're kind of pushing that envelope just a little bit, but it helps them with the disease pressure, and that helps with their costs of not having to go spray as many of those fungicides and stuff on acres and acres and acres of turf. That's kind of their approach, and I kind of picked that up the following year after talking with them, and yeah, that has helped my success when dealing with overall disease pressure, especially Pythium. And another thing for Pythium is make sure you're not seeding too heavy and overcrowding the seed that you're when you're doing your seeding. Everybody loves a dense, thick lawn, but so does Pythium. Everybody loves that thick. Oh, it's thick, it's thick, it's thick, but it holds moisture, and Pythium loves it too. Pythium loves all of that overcrowded, holding moisture down in the canopy. It loves it. So you got to get airflow. Airflow is key for overall disease pressure, and making sure the soil is draining as much as possible, keeping that leaf blade dry. So yeah, that's what I got on Pythium. And then also, if you've got shade cover, getting more sunlight. If you've got shade and you can get more sunlight into it, getting more sunlight, more airflow, that'll also help with Pythium and other disease. All right. Elisa. No. Installing new side will not cause fungus issues as long as it didn't bring it with it. No. You should be okay there. I don't see any I don't see any issues with that. That that tree stump. Were you? Give me a second. I'm just wondering all right, so if these tree stump, I had to go back and look at the conversation that we were that we were talking about. So if these tree stump areas are the areas that you're talking about that had the yellow green look to them, that is why. That is why. If these tree stump areas are the areas that are like yellow and greenish, like not like light green, yeah, performance of turf on a ground up tree stump area is not the best. Like it will, because there's that all of that decaying matter that's already still there from the tree stumps and all of that material that was ground up and everything that was there. Um, I can clearly see areas of where trees were removed recently in the performance of that turf, and it looks exactly like what you're saying. It's because of a lot of that organic matter and decaying and all that other organic matter that's there. Uh, it does not perform well. So if those are the areas that you're talking about, I guess everything else that we said that I said before, um, I don't know if you said that. No, you didn't. You said truly stumped. But if you had said that you had tree stumps ground in those areas where you're seeing it, um, I would have said the tree stump grinding is probably your root cause of that issue. Um, speaking, Mr. Roller King, it could be that they didn't grind the stump deep enough and didn't amend the soil before laying side. I'm with you. I think if those are the areas, the tree stump grinding process is the reason for that. If those are the areas, Elisa, let me know. Is are those the areas that you're talking about that are kind of light green, yellowish in color? If so, that stump grinding process is the reason for that. Yep. When you said truly stumped, I wish you had said the rest of the information that you just gave us just then. Stumped the root cause. Yeah, transition zone guy. Yeah, I agree. That is the root cause. Truly stumped is the root cause. um, but yeah. All right, I'm gonna get ready to wrap this up. I'm pretty sure my little man is probably up by now, or he is close to being up. So I'm gonna get ready to wrap this up. If y'all got any quick last minute questions, drop them in here. You maybe got another 5 to 10 minutes, and that's gonna be it. Barry Donovan, how hard is the license for fertilization? It's not bad. For here in Maryland, I can say for Maryland, uh, it's not a very hard test. Um, it you the stuff that's on there is the basics of the calculations and the laws and everything. Uh, the laws of where you can apply, when you can apply, how much you can apply, the analysis, understanding the label, reading the labels, um, those type of things is what the test is really based on. And they've got guides. They've got a guide. If you're in Maryland, they've got a guide out there for they've got a study guide out there for the test. And then they also have a couple of pre-test classes that you can go to. Um, so yeah, they've got information out there for you to be able to learn what you need to know. Um, info for the yeah. So the test isn't that bad. Um, you'll have to do that, and then you also got to get a business You got to have your business license and stuff also. If you plan to treat other lawns and things of that nature. So, yeah. Um, go cherish those little moments. Yeah, man. I'm gonna go up here and spend some time with him. I'm probably go grab him and take him outside. Is probably what I'm about to do. This is gonna be his long stretch between now and bedtime. So this is typically when we'll go out and walk the yard, and I'll have him out there, and uh, we may go water some plants and everything in the landscape. It's been pretty warm today, so we'll go water some things, and I'll have them out there with me. But yeah, I'm enjoying these. Info for Maryland blackout dates. Blackout date is um, November 15th through March 1st. November 15th through March 1st is the blackout. So no nitrogen, phosphorus within that period. You can apply potassium, but honestly, there's really no point of applying just potassium, especially during those periods of time. So, yeah, November 15th through March 1st is the Maryland blackout. Yep. All right. Cool. Yep. There you go, Joe. But yeah, that's all I've got. Good people. I appreciate y'all for joining me. Thanks for tuning in. If you joined in late, you can come back in. You can rewatch it, and you can catch up with any piece that you may have missed if you had to step away. Um, and as I always say, hey man, y'all hang in there. I know I was about to say we working, but what I'm gonna say right now is hang in there. I know it's hot. I know it's a little rough on the lawns right now, but it will be okay. We are not that far. I hate to say it, but we are not that far away from renovation and repair time. So hang in there. Stick to your programs. Right now, water is king. Um, no need to try to sling a whole bunch of products. Probably the best thing that you can put on your lawn right now is the proper amount of watering at the right times. So y'all hang in there, and now I can say, as y'all, as I always say, I messed that one all the way up because I interrupted myself. We working. Y'all know what's coming. Ain't no need to cue it up. All right, y'all. I'll holler at you. Y'all have a good one.